Hello and welcome to episode 44 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is March 16th, 2020. Today I'm wearing two rather old pieces. My shawl, the pattern is called MagicStar by Birgit Freyer. And I bought both the yarn and the pattern at one of the first, it's like a wolf fest, or like I don't know what it's called, but it's one of those happenings where you can buy yarn and you can buy craft supplies and fabrics and stuff like that. And I've always knit, but that was before I did it professionally. So before I knit all day and all night. So this was the first time I bought yarn by Citron. It's called Filigrane. And as far as I remember, it's a pure wool. Maybe it's the first lace weight I knit with. I don't know. But I was able to get the pattern and the yarn together. And it's even possible that I didn't have to pay for the pattern because I bought the yarn. I'm not too sure. It's a long time ago. But what I do remember is that the pattern said that one skein of yarn would be enough to do the whole shawl. And I just loved the lace pattern with this bold design and those whatever you call those. But I really like that it had these extra thingies here. I remember knitting it was took some time because you had to knit them by themselves and I had lots of ends to weave in, but still I like the design. The beginning of the shawl is really easy to do. You just knit stockinette, you have your increases, and then once the lace pattern starts, the fun begins. And once you get to this point, all these ends are knit by themselves. And I remember I managed to knit two of these and then my yarn was gone. So I had to go and order another skein. I was very happy I was able to, because back then you didn't order yarn on the internet that much. So it took some time for the second skein to arrive. And then I did all the other ends with the second skein of yarn, which means I had most of the skein left over because you didn't need that much yarn to do these. But I was a bit disappointed that my first skein wasn't enough. But now I have the second skein and I still have it and I still haven't done anything with it. So maybe someday I'll get round to doing something very colorful again, because the yarn is very colorful. At first I was a bit worried the pattern might get lost, and I think the pattern would be clearer if it was a one color yarn, but I think it still looks nice. Yep, so that's the shawl, and the pullover I'm wearing is crocheted. So it's made out of these motifs, and I think this is the first pattern where I did crochet motifs, join as you go. And I remember that the pattern told you how to do these motifs, and then it said join them in the last round. But it didn't tell you how to join them. And I remember puzzling about that for several days until I had an idea how it could work. Because back then there were no YouTube videos. And I mean, like, literally YouTube didn't exist yet, I think. And even if it did, there was no knitting or crochet on YouTube yet that I knew of. So I had to figure it out by myself, but I did, and I was very proud that I managed to do that. So these were the motifs that were crocheted first, and they were attached at the last round, but then these were crocheted in afterwards. So I had two ends for every motif that looks like this, and I had another two ends for every motif that looks like this. So I had like a million ends to weave in at the end. But still, it worked, and I really liked the pullover. The pattern said to use cotton, but I used some microfiber, which I preferred at the time. And it still looks really nice, even though it's, as I said, it's probably about 15 years old. Yep, I guess. And yeah, I still like wearing it. It's the shape is really boxy, so it's just these squares attached, so everything is rather square. But because of I don't know why, but it looks like the sleeves are bell-shaped, but they're really straight. It's just because I don't know, for some reason they look like this and I really like them, and I don't mind the straight edges on the front and back. I think it looks really nice. Yeah, and it was a lot of work crocheting and even more work weaving in all the ends, but I think it was worth it, and I really like wearing this pullover a lot. So these are some very old things. Now to some new things. I have 3 finished objects this week. 2 small ones and 1 a little bigger. So I'll start off with the fingerless mitts that I finished. I think that was the first object I finished this week. I knit them for my sister's niece. She picked the pattern and the colors and the yarn, and they're quite simple but really, really soft and nice and warm. It's 1 strand of alpaca lace yarn and 1 strand of mohair silk that I held double, and then knit this very easy, simple pattern that I came up with. Yeah, and they're done now. I'm really happy, and I hope she will be happy when she gets them. Then the next finished objects are my socks that I knit out of Wolldackel yarn. It's the German hand dyer that I sell in my shop, and I knit these as a tube with afterthought heels. And last time I showed you the first sock with the first heel, and last weekend I sat down and recorded how I picked up the stitches for the afterthought heel, how I did the decreases, and I also did a video on how to do the Kitchener stitch. So far my how-to videos are all in German, so maybe I'll translate them into English, but maybe I won't, because I think there are millions of English-speaking how-to videos that show you every step of everything you want to knit or crochet. So, but I think even in German there are a lot of videos that show you how to do things, but I think not quite as many, so I think it's worth adding mine. Yeah, but the socks are finished now, and I'm very happy with them. And the next finished object is my crochet square. So that's completely done now. It was almost done last week, I think. Oh no, had I added the border? No, I don't think I did. So I added 1 row of dark gray, and then with the black, I didn't do these groups of 3 double crochets, but I just did double crochet next to each other, and then I sewed on 6 buttons. I sewed on 3 buttons on this side and 3 buttons on this side, and I've already closed the buttons, and what it means is that I can now wear it kind of like a vest or a shrug. So I can just put my arms through these openings, and the square is being held together by these buttons, and I can just wear this on top of something, and I can have all the colors showing. Yep. And if I want to put it on my table, or I want to just wear it as a shawl, I can just undo the buttons and I can just place it around my shoulders. I can put it on my table. There's so many things I can do with this, and I'm really happy it's done now. Yep, so that's my crochet square. Okay, on to works in progress. I will start with the socks as usual, and I have started the second stocking of the second pair. Last week I showed you the first pair that I had finished, and this is the second pair. It has the same color on the heels and the toes as the other pair had, but the main color is a different one. It's this one, and I finished the second one. So far they don't look too different, but we'll see how it goes on. And yeah, there's still some more to knit, but as long as I've done the start, I can just pick it up anytime and keep knitting. So that's that. Then I knit on my Rocksolid socks. The socks that I'm knitting as part of the oh dear, what's the knit along? It's for next Saturday, where we all wear different socks for Down Syndrome Day. And there's lots of socks knit along. That's the one. And as part of that, I bought the pattern, and because the socks have to be, or supposed to be, different, I changed the order of the color. And I just love these socks. I think they look so funny. They're so bright and so nice. And I've just started with the pink, and yeah, and then it's only the bit that's blue here, and then the black tip, and then I'll definitely manage before next Saturday. And then on Saturday I am going to wear them, and I'll take a picture and I'll post it on Instagram, and next Monday I'll show you the finished socks on the video. Rocksolid socks, fantastic pattern. And the next pair of socks I'm working on are the cotton socks. I finished the first one, and I've started the second one. Haven't come very far, but they are nice and they are different. Yeah, and I just need to keep knitting on them. And I have one more pair of socks that I'm knitting. I think I'd started them last week, and I plan to do shorty socks. And that's how far I've come with these socks. The yarn is opal yarn, is all the other socks I'm knitting, but it's the new color. It's out of the comedy series, and I knit a contrasting heel with a single color opal yarn. And these are, in German we say sneaker socks, but I think shorty socks is what you say in English. And I knit short rows after I finish the heel. So I knit the Fish Lips Kiss heel the way I usually do, but then I knit short rows right here until this point, and that means that this bit is not quite squashed as much as with normal socks. It's hard to explain, but the idea is that if you put your leg in like this, it'll stay up easier and it won't slide down at the back of the foot. So that's the idea. It's the first time I'm doing it, so I'm not quite sure how it will wear, but as soon as I finish them, I'll probably start wearing them so I can see if it really fits better than without the short rows. Yep, and the yarn's really nice, knits up nicely. I'm using my chiaogoo mini circulars, and I like them. So that's all the socks I'm knitting at the moment. Then I have quite a few other projects lying around here. I have added one square to my memory blanket. I had hoped to do two, but I only got around to doing one, and it's that beautiful color. I knit socks out of that color in combination with white, but I won't do a solid white square because I already have one from the haramaki I knit, and yeah, so I could have repeated the white, but right now I don't feel like doing it. I have too many other colors that still need to go into the blanket. So that was that square. Then I continued knitting on my kangaroo shorts, trousers, whatever, by Stephen West. And yeah, I finished that bit with the increases, and I've split the stitches and I'm knitting on one of the legs now. Haven't done too much of the leg yet, but now I don't have to pay attention to increases anymore, so it should be easier and faster to do. And yeah, I'll see how that works. Then I continued knitting on my shawl by Romy. Another Wolldackel yarn that I'm using. It's this beautiful bright color. And okay, I didn't write down what the pattern is called, but you can click on the links underneath the video. I will link to all my Ravelry pages and you can see what the pattern is called. The design is by Rosemary Hill, and it starts off with this garter bit, this one, and then you knit it on lace. And I had already started that last week, and I had done one pattern repeat last week, and I've added 1.5 pattern repeats, and yeah, and I still love it, and I think it's beautiful, works up nicely, the pattern is really well written. And I found out that Romy is hosting a knit along at the moment that's called Flatten the Curve Knit Along, and I really like that idea. I think everybody's tired now of talking about the coronavirus, but the fact is that we're supposed to stay home as much as possible and not meet in person, and so she's thought it was a good idea to just meet virtually. And anyone who's knitting a pattern by her can join the knit along. She wants to give out prizes. And because I was already knitting on that design, I decided to join the knit along. And I would invite all of you to do the same. It's a very nice group, and you can show your pictures, you can show your progress every week, and we can just hang out virtually and not be in danger of passing on any illnesses. Okay, that's that. Then I did some crocheting. I finished the crochet square, but I was able to go on crocheting on my Canopy crochet along. That's the crazy pullover that you can crochet. You can either do a pullover or a blanket in the magazine Simply Crochet. And the new magazine was published a few days ago. Was it on Friday? I don't know. Anyway, I started crocheting the new piece, but then I wanted to finish it over the weekend, but then I left it in my shop, so I couldn't finish it. But this is how far I've crocheted. So this is supposed to be a square like this. So this corner and this corner is missing. But I finished those two, the middle square and 2 of the corners, and yeah, it's such a crazy design. And I'm using all the neon colors that Opal has on offer. Yeah, and I really enjoy it. But because it takes 10 months to finish the pullover, because we have to wait for 10 issues to be published, I decided to do another one. One of my customers wanted to crochet the same pullover, and she decided to do it with cotton yarn, with the Catania, because it's the same yarn weight. So it crochets up to the same gauge, and I really liked the idea, and I decided to do the same. And as I can only crochet 1 or 2 pieces every month, I decided I could also do it in 2 different yarns. And so I started, because I was crocheting that anyway, I decided to do the same piece with the cotton. So I went for a completely different color palette, and so I'm using the dark blue, where this one is black. Everything that's yellow here is going to be white on this one. And then for the other colors, I chose different shades of blue and purple, and I'll show you next week. I'll definitely have this and this one finished by next week, and maybe I can sit down and crochet the other pieces, but I won't rush too much because I have a lot of time to finish the pieces until I get the next bit of instructions. So I won't rush too much, but I'll let you know, and then hopefully by next week I've at least done a bit of crochet with all of the colors that go into this pullover, and I can show you what they're going to look like. I'm crocheting this a bit more loosely, so it comes out a bit bigger, because I found the other one is going to be rather form-fitting, or I have to add something at the end to make it a bit bigger. And with both of them, I'm thinking about making them into cardigans instead of pullovers. So I'll see how that goes. Because I have to attach the pieces anyway, and because there's a big seam down the front and the back, it'd be really easy to change it into a jacket. And that's what I'm thinking about. And right now I'm thinking maybe I'll do the wool one as a jacket and then do the cotton one as a pullover. But I don't know yet. There's still a lot of time to decide, and I'll just wait what the other pieces look like, and then maybe that'll help me decide. So that's my 2 crochet pullovers that I have on the go now. And then my knit pullovers, or pullover or jumper or whatever. There is the Raglano that I'm knitting over in with these videos and in my Ravelry group. I have a Ravelry group that's called Kikos Strickschule, and so far all the discussion threads are in German, but I've been thinking of adding an English-speaking one. So if you would like to have a look at the group, you can definitely look at all the pictures, and I'll try and think of opening a discussion thread in English, and then you can introduce yourselves if you want to. You can join in with the knit-alongs and just join in the fun. So this is the Raglano that we're knitting as a knit-along in my group, and it's a free pattern for a raglan top-down pullover. The pattern is in both German and English. You just download the language you want. The pattern itself is just for a stockinette pullover with rolled edges, or you can do a ribbing if you want to, but I chose to do a pattern at the end of my sleeve, and because there's some garter stitch in the pattern, I decided to do a garter stitch edge. I'll do a garter stitch edge also in here. As the collar, is it the collar? I don't know. Anyway, I've started doing the same pattern that I did in the sleeve for my front and back. So I did some hip increases, and then I increased some stitches in the pattern, and I tried it on earlier today, and it's quite wide, so I can keep knitting for a bit and it's still wide enough. And maybe for the lowest part I'll change the needle size so it gets even wider and looser, and I plan to make it a fairly long pullover. So I'll see how that comes along, but so far I'm very happy that I'm at the pattern now and that the numbers worked out, and yep, looking forward to finishing this pullover hopefully sometime soon. That's the Raglano. Then I'm knitting the Hitofude. That's a knit along in another German YouTube video channel. It's a Japanese pattern for a jacket that you can knit all with one piece of yarn. So I have a huge ball by Wollmeise. It's their lace yarn, and it's 300-gram ball, and you start by knitting a rectangle that forms both sleeves and the back, part of the back. So you knit as high as you need for it to go around your upper arm. So I have now completed, I think, 11 repeats of the pattern. Yep. And I think the pattern says to do 12, but I haven't checked in a while because I knew I needed at least 12 repeats. I have to check the pattern soon now, and I have to measure my arm and see how much further I have to go. And once I've reached the length I need, I can undo the provisional cast on and I can knit the sleeve together and continue. Yeah, I still enjoy knitting that. Taking my time, I'm not rushing, but right now I'm looking forward to finishing off the sleeves so I can go to knitting the front and back. So that's that. Oh yeah, then I have, I started the test knit for Yuki Knits last week with the 2-color brioche cowl that she designed, and I continued, oh, it goes nicely with my pullover. Can wear those together once this is done. It's a very beautiful pattern. I really like it. So I finished the first pattern repeat. I'm in the second pattern repeat, and after the second pattern repeat, the pattern changes. And yeah, there'll be something else, and then the top will be different again, and then I'll be done. I'm very happy with how this knits up. The pattern is written well. The few kinks and mistakes are being solved at the moment. That's what the test knit is for. And yeah, I also like the other side, the back side or the wrong side. Looks very nice too. So I'm sure I'm going to wear this both sides, depending on what I'm wearing. Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to wearing this. The colorful yarn is from the Opal subscription. That was a present that we got for Christmas. And the red yarn is Opal yarn with silk. So this is part wool, part polyamide, and part silk, which makes it a really, really nice yarn. Yep, so that's my test knit. And then I have one more project to show you, and it's not really new, but I haven't shown it on my video in some time because it was a finished object once. It's a hooded jacket, but I didn't like the hood, and so it was just lying around for a while. The sleeves, the fronts with knit in sleeves, pockets. There are the pockets. And yeah, and yesterday I sat down and I cut off the hood. So now I have stitches again, and I could either just knit a ribbing and say it's finished, but what I want to do is I want to knit a different hood. I do want a hooded jacket, but I just didn't like the way the hood was designed, so I decided to change it, and that's what I can do now that I've cut off the old one. Yeah, so that's another rather new project, but not really new. But I'm really looking forward to finishing this. I knit on that for a very long time because I left it for quite some time, and then I picked it up again and I finished it, and then I didn't like the hood, and then I left it again because I never got round to cutting it off, and now I really, really want to finish it. And so by next week, I don't think I'll have finished it by next week, but I would like to have at least half a hood or something like that until next week. Yeah, so let's have a look at my book. I think that was all I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I hope you enjoy knitting and crocheting your own projects. I hope you all stay home as much as you can. I hope you all stay safe and healthy, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!